Hello everyone, in the previous tutorial we created our blog application and we learned how to work with class-based views. At the moment, if you want to post a new blog, we have to go through the admin panel, and this comes as a burst design since not all users have access to this page. So in this tutorial, we will create views that will be responsible for creating, updating, and deleting posts. But before we do that, there is one thing that we have to update, and that is the blog list HTML. I want us to add the links to the individual posts over here so that we can easily navigate through the posts. So in our blog list HTML, where we have our section, where we are looping through the blog posts, where we have the title, this is where we're going to have the link to each blog post. There are two ways to do this. The first one will be to add code the URL as such. So we would have blog slash the slug. So that will be blog.slug. And if we refresh our site and click on this, it will take us to the detailed page of the blog. This approach works great for now. But what happens if we decide to change the path of our URL in the future? That will mean that we'll have to dig through all our HTML pages and change this bit for all the URLs. The best approach will be to provide Django with instructions of how to build the full canonical URL to our blog objects. And we can do this in our blog models with 2 lines of code. So in our blog models, above the save function, we're going to create a new method, and this is going to be called getAbsoluteURL, and it's going to take self, and this is going to return the full URL to our blog objects. And to do that, we need to import another function from Django. So that's from Django URLs. Import reverse, so we can return reverse, and the first attribute is our view name, which in this case is the blog detail. So the view name will be blog detail. Then finally we can pass in the slug as quags, so that will be quags. This is usually a dictionary, so we'll have slug, and the value is going to be self dot slug. And with that, we can make the changes in our blog list HTML. So in this href, we're going to have a variable. So this will be blog dot get absolute URL. So and with those changes, we can navigate to our blog page, refresh it, and if you click on this page, you'll see that it redirects us to the detailed page of the blog post. The getAbsoluteURL method will also make changes to our admin page. I'm going to show you this. If we navigate to a single blog post over here, you will see that it will include this link, the view on site link, and if you click on it, it will take you to the blog's detailed page. So with those changes, we can proceed to create our CreateView that will be responsible for creating the blog posts. So the first thing we need to do is to import the CreateView from Django. We are going to extend it, and then we can have our new class, which is blog CreateView. This will extend CreateView from Django. We need to specify the model. This is blog. We imported it at the top. We're also going to specify the fields, and this will be the form fields which Django will return so that we can create our blog post. The first one is the title. We're also going to have the category. We're also going to have the content, the thumbnail, and finally we'll also have the status, which you'll remember can either be published or draft. After that, we're also going to need to define the template name, which is going to be blog create.html. And after that's done, we need to register this view in our URL configurations. So in our blog application where we have our URLs, we're just going to import it. That will be blog CreateView. Then I can just copy this as a starting point. I'm going to have it here at the top. And this will be content/new. Then you also remember the /. And this should be blog CreateView. The name, this will be blog create. After that, we need to create the HTML page. So in our templates, a new file, that will be blog create.html. So within the blog create HTML, this will be a basic form. You'll have access to it in my GitHub repo. The first thing we are doing, we are extending the base.html, then the crispy forms tags for styling our form. Then finally we have the form. The most important part of our form is the sref token and the encoding type. You'll notice that we are specifying multi-part and form data so that we can be able to send the images, such as the thumbnail which we are going to be sending. Then basically at the top here we're having the field set and the legend which specifies blog post. Then finally we are accessing the form which will be passed automatically by Django from our CreateView. So with those changes, we can see this in our front end by running the server and navigate it to blog and content and new. And you'll see we get this blog post. You can input the title, it comes with the default category. We have the content, we can choose the thumbnail, and we also have the status, which can be draft or published. We can try creating a new blog post, but I can tell you right now that it won't work, and you'll see why. And from that, we'll be able to make the necessary adjustments. So the title, I'm going to copy it from this blog post. Let's have it here. Category, I'm going to have this as cardio. The content, I'm just going to copy this, then paste it in. The thumbnail, I'm going to select this and open. Status, I'm going to select publish and post. And you'll see that you're getting this integrity error, .null, constraint block field, blog.other ID. This happens because of the one-to-many relationship between our user objects and blog objects. So you'll notice that Django is trying to save our blog post without assigning an object to it. And you can see it in this error over here, where Django is running save.object is equals to form.save. And you can see we have our form and we have our fields, title, category, content, thumbnail, and status. And at this point where Django is saving the form, it doesn't include the user object. So what we need to do is to override this method from Django, which is the form.valid method. And we can do this in our view. So in our blog create view, we need to override the form.valid method. We are going to return the parent's save function method by default. This is going to be run anyway. But before we save the form, we just need to tell Django to use the current user as the owner of the form. That will be form.instance.author, and this will be equals to self.request.user. And in those changes, we can try to post our blog again. So we have it here, then select publish, then post. And you can see that it works. And it will automatically redirect us to the detailed page of the blog post because of the method we defined, the get absolute URL method we defined in the model name. So that works great for now. There's just one more thing that we need to update, and that is our title. And we can do this by passing the context data. We saw how to do this when we created our list view and detail view. So you can just copy this and paste it in at the top over here. The title, this should be blog create or create blog. So our blog object has been created. If we navigate to our blog pages, you'll also see that we have it. It's here at the top. We have the title, and we have the name, and we have the date posted. So after that, we can proceed to create our update view that will be responsible for updating our blog post. So this will be very similar to this. So I can just copy that, and I'm going to paste it in the bottom. Then bring this down to save on space. Then you're going to import the view from Django. That is the update view, and this should be update view, and this should also be blog update view. The model still going to be blog. The fields will have title, category, the content, the thumbnail, and also the status. The template name, this will be blog update.html. For the context, the title, this will be update blog. The form valid method is going to stay the same because we need it. All that's left to do is to create the URL configurations for this and the HTML page. So in our URLs, I'm just going to copy this, going to have it down here, then import the view, blog update view. Then we have the content, it should be update. Then finally, we are going to pass the slug for our blog object. Then remember the /. Then this should be blog update view. The name, this should be blog update. Then we can create the HTML page in our templates. So in our templates directory, create a new file that will be blog update.html. This is going to be very similar to the blog create page. So we can just copy this and paste it here. The legend is going to stay the same as blog post. We're just going to need to change the post button. This should be update. So after that, we can run our server, then navigate to content, and let's go update. Then I'm going to copy the slug for this blog post. So we can just copy this and navigate to it. You can see that we get the form already pre-populated. So we have the title, we have the category, and we have the content, and also have the thumbnail and the status. So we can try changing the thumbnail. Let me change it to this. Open. The content, I'm going to change it to. And after that, we can click on update, and you can see that it gets updated. So after that, we can create our delete view that will be responsible for deleting the blog posts. So again, that will be very similar to this. So we can just copy this and bring this down to save on our space. Paste this in. This will be the delete view, and it's going to extend delete view from Django. Then we're going to remove the fields, since this is not a form. Then we're also going to need to extend delete view. The template name, this will be blog delete.html. The context, this should be delete blog. We don't need to validate the forms if you're not working with forms. So we can just remove that. So we just need to define one more attribute, and that is the success URL. And this will be the URL that users are going to be redirected to after they have successfully deleted a blog post. And here we are going to use another shortcut from Django. So that's from Django.urls, and we are going to import, that will be the reverse lazy function, and the success URL should be reverse lazy, and we are going to specify the URL name, which will be the blog list. So I'm going to redirect the users to our blog list view. So that will have it as blog list. So after that's done, we need to create the URL for this page. So I can just copy this, our update URL, and this should be delete. You'll have the slug. You need to import the blog delete view. So this should be delete view, and this should be blog delete. Then we need to create the HTML page for that. So in our templates, let's create a new file that will be blog delete.html. in our blog delete template, we are going to extend base.html. Then we're going to load the crispy tags. Then we are going to open the blog. This is content. Then finally we can have our form down here. This is going to be very similar to our update form. So we can just copy this. There's a couple of things we are going to change. Let me fix the indentation. You're going to remove the encode type because we are not sending any images. At the legend, this will be delete blog post. Then below it, we can have our header 2 tag asking the question if our users want to delete, if they are sure they want to delete the blog post. So we can just remove the form and the crispy tags. Technically, this is not a form. So where we have our button, this should be delete. Then we're just going to need to change the bootstrap classes over here from button outline info to button outline danger. Currently we have this info, so we want this. So this will be danger. Then below it, we are going to have a cancel link that users can click to cancel the whole delete process. So this will be an anchor tag. The text is going to be cancel. We're also going to give it some few bootstrap classes. I'm just going to copy the above to get started. So instead of danger, this is going to be info. Then I'm going to give it a margin top of 4, a margin left of 2, then a padding top of 2. What about the link? The link is going to direct them to our detailed page of the blog post. So this will be a URL tag. Then we specify the URL name, which is our detail view. So this will be blog detail. So I'm going to copy this and have it in. And you remember that it takes arguments. So we are going to pass the arguments as object.slug. So with those changes, I think we can run our server and see this and navigate to our blog post. Let's navigate to content, delete. And you can see we have this. Our buttons are not very smart, so we can fix this in our HTML. I'm just going to copy these bootstrap classes for consistency and paste them in our delete button. And we can refresh it. You can see now it's much better. So you can click on delete. You can see that the blog post has been deleted. You can do the same for this blog post so that you can see the cancel operation. So content, delete. We click on cancel, it redirects us to the detailed page of the blog. But I want to delete this blog post. So content, delete. So our views are working correctly, but there's a couple of updates we can make for good design. And that is to make sure that only authenticated users can create, update, and delete the views. And we saw how to do this when we created our profile view, which is a function-based view, where we specified the login required decorator. And we can do the same for our class-based view in a different way, and that is by using Mixins. So we can import them from Django.contrib.auth.mixins, and we are going to import the login required mixin, and we want to make sure that the blog create view, the blog update view, and the blog delete view extend the login required mixin. So before we extend the create view, we are going to extend the login required mixin, and you can just do the same for the update view and paste it in. So we can test this in our site. So I'm going to run the server and navigate to the CreateView, which is content, new. So I'm going to copy this and open it in a new browser. And you can see that I'm being redirected to the login page. This will also be the same for the delete view. So we can go to blog content, delete, and again you see that it redirects us to the login page. There's also another mixin that I want to show you how to use it, and that is the UserPassesTestMixin. So this mixin will help improve our blog application in a major way, since at the moment any user can delete or update the post of any given user. The login required mixin will just ensure that the login is authenticated before they access the views. But once they are authenticated, they can update or delete any post in our application. Imagine you in your Instagram or Twitter, if any user could update or delete your post. This is obviously not a good design, so Django came up with this mixin. So to use it, we are just going to extend it in our views, and we are going to start with the update view. So after the login required mixin, then you can have the user passes test mixin. You can do the same for the blog delete view. So user passes text mixin. Then after that, we need to define two methods in our views, and that is the text function and the handle no permission method. So in the first method, this is where we're going to check if the authenticated user owns the blog object. And in the second method, this is where we're going to tell Django what to do if the user fails the test. Ideally, we would redirect them to a given page. So this function should either return true or false. If it returns true, we indicate that the user has passed the test, so they can proceed to update the blog. If it returns false, then Django is going to run the logic in this method. So we can start with the test function, and the first thing we need to do is to retrieve the blog object, and this will be equals to self.getObject. Then we can check if the requesting user owns the blog object. So if self.request.user is equals to blog.author, so if the requesting user is the author of the blog, you want to return true, else you just want to return false. So if the user fails the test, we want to redirect them to our blog list page. So we are going to import the redirect function from Django, and that's from Django.shortcuts, where we have render. Let's import redirect. So we're going to return redirect, and here we are going to specify the URL name, which is blog list. Before we redirect them, let's give them some visual feedback. We can do that using messages. So let's import that. So that's from Django.contrib import messages. So this should be messages.warning. You don't have permission to update this post. We can also do the same thing for our delete view. We're just going to change this to you don't have the permission to delete this post. So with those changes, we can have a look at this in our front end. So you can see at the moment that I'm authenticated as John Doe. So I can navigate to the blog pages and try to update a blog that I don't own. For example, we can try updating Jen's blog. So we can navigate to content and let's say update. Then I'm getting this error. I think it's in our messages warning, missing one required positional argument message. Oh, I did a mistake. Where we have our messages warning, the first argument should be self.request. Then we can have our message over here. So we can do the same for this, self.request. It happens to the best of us. So and you can see that we get the error we specified. You don't have permission to update this post, and it redirects us to the blog list page. We can also test the same thing for the delete endpoint. So content, delete. Yeah, it works. You don't have permission to delete this post. So that works well. We also need to do the same thing for our CreateView. And since this is not a public blog application, we want only the admin or staff to be able to create blog posts. So we can copy the test mixin and paste it in, and just copy the test functions. So in our CreateView, paste that in. Here we're going to check if the user is staff or not. So we're just going to remove this since we are not going to be working with any objects. And here we are going to return self.request.user is staff. So this will return true or false depending if the user is a staff or is a regular user. The handle no permission, we can say you don't have permission to create, and you should redirect them to the blog list page. So that will work. For easy navigation, let us add the new pages we've just created. That is the ability to create new posts and also the update and delete buttons. So we can do that in our base.html page where we have our header. I'm going to start with the profile page. If user is authenticated, let us add the profile page. Let me change the text first. The text should read profile, and the URL, what did we name it? We named it profile. So this should be profile. Then in the drop down, here we can have the blog page or blog list. So the URL, this should be blog list, and let us rename this to our. We can also do the same thing for our blog detail.html. And you can remember this is where I specified we are going to add the delete and update buttons. So you're going to have the two buttons over here. We're going to start with the update button. We're going to open a URL tag. This should be URL. Then we need to have blog update. Then the argument, this will be blog post.slug. We can do the same thing for the delete. Copy it, paste it in. This should be blog delete. So I'm going to run the server and check it. You can see that we've included the profile link over here. We also have the blog link. For now, let us check the update and delete buttons. And yeah, we have them over here. We have the update and the delete button. You can click on delete, cancel, update, and yeah, that should work. So I think that's it for this tutorial. We've created the blog DeleteView, blog UpdateView, and blog CreateView. This will allow users to create, update, and delete posts. We've also seen how you can add restrictions to our class-based views using the LoginRequiredMixin and the UserPassesTestMixin. In the next tutorial, we are going to keep working on our blog application, where we are going to add our tagging system and also create a blog category list view where users can filter the blogs by a given category. So if you have found this video useful, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for similar content. And if you have the means, you can buy me a coffee by scanning the QR code or by clicking the link in the description. See you in the next one. Thanks.